Good morning, everyone. Kirk here with Serious Gaming. Hope you all are doing very well today. I have been thinking about something lately that I wanted to do a video on, and it's something that's been a little frustrating. I've thought about it for a while, and that is just, how come some of my favorite games of all time are stuck on older consoles and haven't been ported over to modern consoles? Because a lot of games have. A lot of games that are on those same systems, that are in the same genre, have all been ported over. But a couple of games that I want to talk about are stuck on their consoles. And I definitely do think that they deserve to be on a modern console. So I want to talk about basically two games that I want to discuss. And then I'll throw in a few honorable mentions as well as we go at the end. So the two of my favorite games of all time that are stuck on their modern consoles is I've got Legend of Legaia and Secret of Evermore. And Legend of Legaia is stuck on the PS1, and I will show you here. I actually still have both the guide and my PlayStation 1 copy of Legend of Legaia, which is an amazing, amazing game. And I still have my guide and game for Secret of Evermore. So these are incredible games. The Secret of Evermore is stuck on the Super Nintendo. Legend of Legaia is stuck on the PlayStation 1. So you can emulate these games, and I've done it. In fact, early last year, I played through Legend of Legaia on my PS Vita. And it was awesome. It was a lot of fun. It was just like replaying it on the PlayStation. But it does take a lot of setup. It's not quite the same as playing it on a TV. You got to do a lot of things on your Vita to get it to run correctly. And there's definitely a lot of load times, obviously even with the PlayStation version, but it seemed like maybe even more so on the Vita. I couldn't tell quite, but the load times for the game obviously are heavy too. But the game means a lot to me. It was the first really long, very super long RPG I can remember actually beating as a kid. Like I remember going through the whole game. I remember it took me like 89 hours to beat it. And I also remember that was like the first JRPG game that I bought with my own money. I remember buying that with my own money at a Blockbuster. They had a used copy at a Blockbuster because that game was rare even back then. Even when it first came out, it was just a rare game to find. So it's a very special game. So imagine this. They bring back Legend of Legaia to something like the PS5, which is what I play on mostly. So that would be what I would want it on. And they could add some quality of life upgrades like faster battles, better load times, maybe some experience bonus, type like mods or something on that you can add on there if you wanted to. Because I love the grind. I love grinding. It's one of my favorite things to do in classic JRPGs. But I beat the game so many times that it would be cool to just go through it with a experience bonus and just to relive the game again without having to grind it all over again, because that game is also tough. Legaia is a tough game as well. But yeah, so I think that would be I think they should port that game. And you think about it, we got Legend of Dragoon on modern consoles. It's another one of my all-time favorite games. It just makes me wonder, why not Legaia? Why hasn't Legaia come out on modern consoles? Because we get a lot of the other PS1 classics, all the Final Fantasies, a lot of stuff, but Legend of Legaia is like stuck over there. So that's one game I really wish they would bring over. Now the other one is Secret of Evermore. This is easily in my top 5 favorite games of all time. I love this game. I actually replayed this one last year as well. I did try emulating this on my PS Vita, but it didn't feel right. It felt kind of clunky, and it was hard to like save, and it wasn't as fluent as the Super Nintendo version. So I just brought out my original Super Nintendo, which I still have from when I first bought it, and played it that way. I had to get a new Super Nintendo controller, but I was able to play through the whole game with 0 issues. Everything about that game just takes me back to my childhood. Usually try to replay it every few years. I really wish that they would bring that over to PS5 or even Switch. And honestly, even Switch 2, if they brought that, even if they just ported it over Switch 2, I would probably buy a Switch 2 for that game. That's how much I love that game. And as far as quality of life stuff, this game doesn't really need any upgrades. It runs fairly smoothly. on the Super Nintendo. So I'd say just bring it over. That's all I'm asking. So that would be a great one to bring over as well. Those two games are my top two games that I wish that they would just bring a port over to modern consoles, because I don't have a PS1. I do have the Vita, so I can play Legend of Legaia, but it would just be nice to play it on the modern consoles. And a few other honorable mentions I want to bring up would be Lost Odyssey. I know this is a common one that a lot of people talk about. This was on the Xbox 360. This was an amazing game. I beat this a few times. I also had the strategy guide for this. I don't have my 360 anymore, so I actually don't have this game or the guide anymore, but I would totally play this again if they ported it over in some form. Breath of Fire 3 and 4 are also another couple games I'd like to see ported, although I know they just came out with a Steam port for Breath of Fire 4, but I just don't really play my Steam Deck as much, so I guess I could play it on Steam Deck, but I'd rather have it on PlayStation, or even Switch would be fine. But yeah, so I'd like to see those two as well remade. And then another one would be the Final Fantasy 13 trilogy. I know this was on the 360 and the PS3. I had it for PS3. And I know this is also on Steam, but again, I'd rather not play that game on Steam. I know the Steam Deck, it runs pretty smooth on the Steam Deck, but it's just not as fun as playing on like a TV with a controller. At least in my opinion, anyway. That's how I enjoy playing games. So I'd like to see that ported over to a nice, port the trilogy over to PlayStation 5. I mean, it's one of the only Final Fantasy series and games that aren't available on the PS5, and I don't really understand that. But maybe they'll do that soon. That'll be really cool. And then the other one I'll just mention is also Xenogears, which is on the PlayStation 1, and that's also kind of in the same boat as Legaia. Just, don't really understand why that hasn't been ported yet. So hopefully maybe these will come soon. That'll be really something to look forward to. These are all excellent games to play. So these were just basically, that's the end. I just wanted to go through a few games that I just have been wondering why haven't they been ported to modern consoles yet. I think it would be just a good idea for them to do that. I think, honestly, they'd probably make money doing that, because I'm sure a lot of people would want to play these games. So, but yeah, let me know some games that you want to see ported over to modern consoles. I know there's a lot more that I probably could name. I just wanted to name some of the top ones that I've been thinking about. But yeah, you let me know in the comments what you guys think. And if you have any questions, please let me know. If you like this content, if you like what I am doing, please subscribe. Please like the video. I really do appreciate that a lot. I really do. Thank you for that. And we will see you in the next one. Thank you so much.